All right, we are going to continue with post-qualifying press conferences. We are now joined by Michael McDowell, driver of the number 34 Front Row Motorsports Ford. We will go ahead and take questions. We will start right up here with Jacob and then go over to Steven.
Jacob Seelman, Raceface Digital. We know you've had race speed, Michael, but was the qualifying pace a surprise to you guys at all? I mean, we know the Chevys have had so much pace in 500 qualifying the last couple of years. Did this surprise you at all?
Yes, it did surprise me. If you asked my crew chief, Travis Peterson, he wouldn't have been surprised. We were actually joking a lot today because we put a lot of emphasis into having as much speed as we could build into our Daytona 500 car down here. And, you know, we always talk about it like, oh, yeah, we'll see where we stack up. And usually we'll even do a little whiteboard pick of where we think we're going to qualify, you know. And super speedway qualifying typically hasn't been a strength for us, but we haven't worried too much about it because our cars always race really well. But Travis today, he was like, this is everything I have. If we don't qualify well today, I am done with super speedway racing qualifying. I'm not putting any more effort into it anymore. So it just shows you the level of intensity that was, you know, everybody at Front Row put into tonight, to having as much speed as we can. Almost like we wanted to prove to ourselves, you know, if we really put our mind to it, can we do it? And then, you know, obviously these Dark Horse Mustangs are fast. I mean, to lock out the Front Row with two Ford Mustangs is great. Everybody at Roush Yates Engine Shop, and you know all the things that it takes to make race cars go fast. But when it comes to the details that the guys did at the shop, they did a really good job. And so that it's a cool moment. It's cool for them to have that moment. It stinks that Joey beat us for the pole, but you know I'm super proud of the effort, and it's a cool experience for us to you know to be in a spot that we're not typically in.
You proved a couple years ago that you can win this race from anywhere, but other than the cool part of being on the front row Sunday when you come down to green, how much does this really do for your race, if anything at all?
Well, it does matter for sure. I mean, there's so much that can happen in a 500-mile race. I mean, we all know that. But we've also seen with this next-gen car that track position is important, and it's not always easy to get. It's not easy to go from the back to the front. I mean, a couple of guys have done it successfully, but it's very tough to move from the back to the front just because the pack doesn't build and the draft doesn't build quite like it did with the older car. And then, you know, also too, the guys with different strategies of saving fuel and pitting with your manufacturers and all that becomes very complicated when you're trying to come through the pack. So being up front and kind of controlling your own destiny, I think is really important for this race, for all of it. But it's not the end-all, be-all. We all know that, right? You can have maybe one or two little blemishes throughout that 500 and still be okay. It's just harder now than it used to be.
All right, go to Steven and then Bob.
Steven, stumpfrontage.com. Michael, that would have been your first pole until Joey beat you at the last second.
I know. What a turd.
But I guess how do you balance being disappointed there, but also, the relief and, being locked in the front row and how that makes tomorrow easier?
Yeah, so I am thrilled for the front row. It would have been more fun to have the pole and to get my first career pole in the Cup Series. But honestly, it's such a cool accomplishment for our team that it doesn't feel that disappointing, right, to not get the pole. The other side of it too, which I didn't realize, I should have paid more attention, but they're like, oh, you got to go to Victory Lane. Victory Lane? What do you mean go to Victory Lane? Like, they bring the front row in there. You even get a trophy, right? So that's pretty cool because normally in our sport, it's only the winner that gets a trophy, right? So it was neat to see that, and makes it sting a little less, right? At least you got something to show for it. But like I said, I'm not disappointed. I mean, it would have been special and it would have been a little bit cooler, but I'm very proud of everybody at Front Row Motorsports and what they were able to do and how fast our car was.
And going into the duels tomorrow, this will be a first for you in that you have the spot locked, but
Yeah, I have no idea what to do.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there like a balance between, conserving the car, but at the same time, being able to race and
I'm not sure yet.
and also go for the up to 10 points available by finishing top 10.
Yeah, so I don't know. And honestly, obviously I'm driving the car, right? But it's going to be a group decision. We'll talk about it tonight and tomorrow with, my crew chief and competition director, Seth Barber, and Jerry Freeze, and my owner, Bob Jenkins, and just kind of get a feel for what they're thinking. So I don't want to tell you one way or another because I really don't know. My gut is go try to win a trophy and get 10 points if you can, and we got a fast race car, so why not go for it and do that? But there are some complications, right? If you go out there and tear it up, and the last thing we need to do is give up a front row spot and have to go to a backup. Sometimes you can control that, sometimes you can't. We'll run through all those scenarios tonight of what we think's the best decision. Like I said, I haven't been in this spot before, so I don't want to mislead you on what I think we're going to do. A lot of it is going to have to do with Travis and I's conversation tonight on, okay, how bad is this thing going to drive tomorrow? Because obviously he knows a lot of what we had to do to get speed in it, and some of those things we might not be able to undo tomorrow night, and it might be a handful, right? So we'll have to talk about that. We'll probably have to feel it out a little bit and see how it drives, and but I really don't think I think just like in years past, we didn't do anything so far out of the box that we won't be able to race tomorrow night if we decide to do that. Yeah, I hope.
Bob Hockers, Fox Sports. He may tell you to go to the back and push Kaz.
Is Kaz in my race? Do you know? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that. So that's definitely a big part of it, and that will be a part of it. I mean, it'll be very important to get that 36 in the race tomorrow night, and anything that we can do to help him do that, we're going to try to do. For a lot of reasons. One is 3 is better than 2 when it comes down to needing teammates and working together at the end of these races. And, unfortunately, we had a little mechanical issue on that 36 car, but it's going to have plenty of speed. So we just need to make sure that we do everything we can to help him get in. And so that's another variable that we'll talk about tonight. I was wondering how that was going to play out. And is Todd in ours too? Because, Bob, if Todd's in there, I'm putting the pressure on Todd and just telling him, hey, buddy, it's your job this time.
Let's see here.
No? Okay.
No. But I am curious, Kaz had this gear shift issue. Like, were you concerned that you might have the same issue?
Yes and no. We definitely were like, uh-oh. But, one thing that we do is we take pictures of everything that leaves the shop. And so very quickly we were able to go through our library and say, nope, it's in, tight, we're good, without touching the car, right? And so there are processes in place and procedures in place for that. I think the challenge there was probably sort of not last minute, but late in the game, deciding to pull the trigger on that 36 and getting everything up and running and taking guys from the shop that aren't typically on the road and all those things. So it throws some variables in there. And so, but we felt pretty confident that everything was fine on the 34 and 38. Yeah. Yep.
All right, we're going to go to Jerry Jordan and then Dustin Long.
Jerry Jordan kicking the tires at net. So that guy over there walked in here. So what was that roller coaster ride of being there and then Joey ruining that part of it?
Yeah. It was awesome beating the 5 and when he came across the line, and I was like, ooh, we got a real shot at this. And then when Joey took the green, he was already like a half a car length ahead of me on the SMT, and we're like, oh, that sucks. But after, and you have a second to think about it, it's awesome that, Ford was able to sweep the front row and take brand new race cars, dark horses, and put them on the front row. I mean, I would much rather it be inverted, but that's okay. It's, like I said, it's a huge accomplishment for our race team to be on the front row for the Daytona 500 and not disappointed one bit, and feel, thankful, glad that we have so much speed down here.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Michael, it's been a very long time, so it's very different points in your career, but can you compare, contrast a decade ago, you came here and didn't make the race, and obviously I know you won, but you're starting on the front row, and just the qualifying, and just how you look back at that moment.
Yeah, so I was telling some of my guys that are younger on the team, like I remember when we'd come down here and there'd be 60 cars, and making the race was like, when you made the race, it was literally a major year. It was such a big deal, for the team and financially and all the things that it did. It was such a big deal to make this race. So, yeah, I've had the opportunity, if you want to call it that, to be on both sides of missing them by one spot, and getting in on the last lap, coming off of turn 4 and making it and feeling that excitement. And so, yeah, there's. It's a special place to come to Daytona, and then it was so hard to make the races. And but it's different now. It's definitely different, because then we were just so happy to make the race that we were like, Sunday, who cares about Sunday? We're in the race, And now it's not like that. Right now it's like, okay, this is a great accomplishment, but it's all about winning on Sunday. And so it's a different mindset. But to answer your question, it's great. It's amazing. I mean, it's been a long journey, and it's been a tough one, and a lot of years of not so much fun, hoping that one day you would have fast cars and shot at running well. And I know I said that before, but it's happening more consistently where we're having this conversation, and that's fun for me. It's fun to finally get to have that opportunity to be competitive week in and week out, and not just at certain places, but a lot of places. So this is the best time in my career. It really is. And there was definitely plenty of years where it didn't look like I was on that trajectory. And so I'm very thankful that, things have continued to get better. Yep.
All right. Thank you, Michael, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you, guys.